Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back to the live stream. We are back discussing all things Sky Bet League One on the channel. It's a bumper episode. We had so many games over the weekend as well. So many goals. We had some hammerings. We had some close games. We had last-minute goals. We had thrillers. We had everything. We had a cup final as well, which obviously I've not put in the graphics down below because it wasn't a League One game, but we will discuss it as well. We'll also discuss Friday's games as well, as they are very important in this run-up towards the end of the season as well. So let me know if you can see and hear me okay as well, using a slightly different setup today as well. So if you can see and hear me clearly, that'll be very good. A lot of games to discuss. Obviously, Friday's games, Good Friday. This is my favourite part of the season because it's the run-in, and Good Friday and Easter Monday always set the seed because you normally get a team either confirming a playoff spot or promotion spot, and then you get everything else. So we will discuss it all in this episode. But before we do that, we'll introduce the co-host who running very late, fashionably late, but he's here now. Jake from the Stacey West podcast. How are we doing, mate?
Sorry, Nappers. I had lots of commitments tonight, but I'm good. I'm glad to be back on. I will just explain myself. I've moved flat. I mean, I don't know if you can tell from the way the room looks, but I have moved properties. It's been very stressful the last couple of weeks. So I've not been available. I've not been a very good co-host to our Ben, but I am back. Obviously, I'd come back after we take points off Wednesday, wouldn't I? Couldn't miss it and avoid the one where Fleetwood beat us. So, but no, it is good to be back, mate. It's nice.
I just want to say thank you for the support in the last few weeks when I've been on my own. Since Jake's been gone, the support has risen, and we've been getting more views, more likes, more subscribers to the channel. Now he's back. Hopefully he can stick with us and along the bumpy ride. But before we do get into it, because it'll be a longer episode as always as well, because we do love things on League One as well. Not start yet in a press like. If you could click like as well, just now, it takes literally a couple of seconds to do. It helps me out more than you could know. So if you could hit like as we're joining as well. We've set a very ambitious aim of 100 likes tonight. Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome to this. You know it. The town are going up. We'll be discussing Ipswich in some detail. I watched 70 minutes of their game back from the win over Derby, and I was very impressed, put it that way. Hello, Jim, you all right? Evening, everyone. AA, everyone, you all right? It's going to be an exciting end to the season. I just love this period of the season because it gets interesting. And these mid-table teams, they're not on the beach. You look at Exeter, you look at Fleetwood, look at Lincoln, who went to Hillsborough and got a point. These are going to be teams that, you think are on the beach. This is why I say you can't just keep saying it's 3 points here, it's 3 points here. The end of the season throws up some mental results, really. Bolton are massive everywhere they go. Some result like the other day, wasn't it, Jake?
Yeah, well, some of us already won the JPT, mate, so it's not that big a deal. But congrats, Bolton, on the big day out.
Haircut 100 he is. Haircut 100, I think.
Jack, my friend, and also my very good friend, also my barber, should be watching. So, Jack, thank you for the sofa. Love you.
How are we, Tony? You all right, mate? Upper Town, Wednesday bottling it. 776 minutes since Ipswich conceded a goal. Best in Europe. Love to see it. So, Jake, we'll start off in Yorkshire, off to Barnsley, who won 5-0. A great result for them. Even better win that I think the loss on the Tuesday to Exeter. Didn't play well. Wasn't a Barnsley-like performance. But they managed to get 3 points against Morecambe, who had been struggling. We'll get on to Morecambe in a bit because they're separate at the minute with their issues. But it's a superb result for them. And also scoring 5 goals, because I've been going on about how goal difference could be huge towards the end of the year. They managed to score 5, get through nice and easily as well. Devante Cole's obviously got on the score sheet as well. Unlucky not to have a hat-trick, had one disallowed, which in my opinion was onside. But 5-0, comfortable win, 3 points, keeps them in the top 2 hunt.
Yeah, I think Barnsley for the last couple of weeks, I know they put 4 past Wednesday, but they were in a game that day. I think they've been threatening this type of performance for quite a while. Yes. You look at the numbers, they're having high amounts of shots on target and shots on goal. It's at some point, all of them were going to fall in. And unfortunately for Morecambe, it happened on the day that, when you go to Oakwell, you need them to have a bad day. But unfortunately for Morecambe, Barnsley had a very on day. And you look at the attacking options that they've got in that side, Nappers, the likes of, Norwood, Cole, they've got Connell backing them in midfield. They have Josh Martin, who was on loan, who did really well at Doncaster last year, just sitting on the bench and not doing a lot. They've got good options, and for me, I've backed them to nip in automatic. So we'll have to wait and see. But performances like Saturday will massively help their cause.
I agree, and I look at the running. They've got Burton up next on Good Friday. Then you've got Shrewsbury, Shrewsbury obviously will come on to them in a minute. Start to dip a bit. Obviously lost 6-0 there. One of the next teams that we're going to focus on. But then they have a trip to Forest Green Rovers, Nailsworth. Similar trip to Exeter, I think that was where it's an awkward trip as well, and where they need to go and get 3 points. But even after, they've got Lincoln away, Oxford at home, Ipswich at home is the absolute massive one. And I am actually thinking of going to that game. So hopefully all goes right there and I can get to that game. MK Dons away, Peterborough at home. Now, I don't think they'll fear anyone, and rightfully so. If you're in a top 2 race, you shouldn't fear anyone. But there's games there they could slip up at. Of course there are. But they should be looking to getting near maximum points. If not, going to get 20 points minimum, which will take them to 95. We should give them the best opportunity to go up. So it's a superb win for the other day because it keeps them in that hunt. And I do think you'll need to get more than 95 points if you want to go up. So it's going to be, if they beat Ipswich and manage to get results out the other games, it could be in their hands as well. So this is how League One can twist and turn. It's in Ipswich's hands right now, but they've achieved nothing yet, Ipswich. We'll come on to them in a minute because I've got an apology to do to their supporters because they've not been very friendly towards me on Twitter lately. So, and I do like Ipswich. But for Morecambe, didn't pay the players last week. A rumoured 6-figure fee was put in by the new investors. That is very dodgy in my eyes. That they can't show proof of funds, but they can put that sum of money into the football club, and without that, I don't think they'll be paying the players. That distraction, I think, has got to the players. And I spoke to a number of Morecambe supporters, and they've said they're done. They can see it in the body language. I listen to Derek Adams' interviews all the time after every game, and he seems a beaten man. He really does.
I've just spent the last hour talking with Joel Shooter, who's obviously a big Morecambe fan, and I've had quite a big insight on them. From what I can tell, they've had quite a few interested parties, and they wanted to do it early in the season. They weren't able to get it done, but a lot of people think they should have been able to get it done. There's a few offers on the table for the football club, from what I understand. All of them have bid around the same value, except this one kid who's crypto. I think he does crypto or something like that, and he's doubled the bids of what they've got on at the minute, but he can't really supply funds to the show the funds that he's got to the EFL. That's basically like you saying, Nappers, I'm going to buy Fleetwood once this lottery ticket comes in. So you go to the EFL, oh look, I've got this lottery ticket, it's going to come in, I promise you. It's the same situation, and obviously it's led to the players and playing staff not been getting paid the last couple of weeks or getting paid late. That's not going to help their cause for wanting to stay up. I understand a lot of their players are out of contract in the summer. A lot of key ones. I know they've got Adam Mayer on a couple-of-year deal, but Dan Crowley's out of contract. A couple more that they'll want to keep a hold of. But it all depends on the ownership situation. I would rather, and I know Joel said this as well, I'd rather Morecambe went down but resolved the ownership problems than Morecambe stayed up and there was still a massive cloud over it. Look at what, I know Gillingham have took maybe 6 months to get it sorted, but Gillingham are in a way healthier place now than what they were when they got relegated. So for me, and it will always be the main focus point, is to make sure that the football club is in position to remain and to exist, because too many fantastic football clubs have gone down the pot, especially in that part of the world as well. Seems that you're all going down in the northwest. I don't know what it is.
Bury, Macclesfield, Bolton, struggle for a while.
That's it. So for me, the long-term success for Morecambe would be get a new owner. If they're in League Two, rebuild. But you'd back Derek Adams in League Two if he's to stay to bring him back up, wouldn't you?
You would. And sometimes relegation is the best part. I've said that a lot. I think in League One, you look at Ipswich, it's done them a world of good because they've reunited again. I think Portsmouth going down to come back up, reunited them. And obviously, the fans saved their football club. So many football clubs have benefited from a 1 year worth of pain for long-term gain. Charlton Athletic have had a lot of pain, but they won 6-0 the other day. And again, it was their best performance of the season. They've scored 6 goals. And, Miles Leaburn was the difference. I think that's 11 goals for him now. I think he scored 5 in his last 4. Everyone has highlighted Raksaki this year, and rightfully so. He's been brilliant. Blackett Taylor. I think those two have been bright light. But Miles Leaburn, I think, is the best player to come from their season because he's not on loan. He's came from their academy. They can build something around them, and they've got a fond kind of history with building their own strikers, haven't they? Or buying them for cheap and selling them on. Just look at what Lyle Taylor did all those years ago. Macaulay Bonne, obviously, he's now back at the football club. He's another example. So I think it was his first goal from about 25 yards out, which caught the keeper off guard. The keeper should be doing a miles better with or getting near it. He's way off his line, but it's a superb finish. And they're starting to get into the groove now, Charlton, where they're picking up results more often. They're still losing the odd game and still a bit inconsistent and still either really good or really poor. But they've got the manager on a deal till 2026. So for me, I think things are very positive at the Addicts.
Yeah, you know what? You look at Miles Leaburn physically and you wonder how on earth he's 18. He is built. He is massive. Yeah. You think, how on earth are you that developed at 18? He's been a real star in Charlton's season.
I won't even look like that at 48, never mind 18.
Well, like I said, you're probably the size of his right calf nappers at the moment. So, but yeah, I think Leaburn. I'm pretty sure I've read reports earlier in the season that they lost Burstow in the summer. He went off to Chelsea, didn't he? Do you know what? I wouldn't really be surprised if a Premier League club was to go. At 18, you're that developed. You're scoring goals at a good level. We'll just take you, send you out on loan somewhere, maybe somewhere abroad, and we'll just keep you on our books and see if you can get into the first team. You said everyone's giving Raksaki the absolute plaudits. The man deserves it. If Raksaki, I cannot think of a League One team he doesn't get into. He is that good with the ball, and I think we were. I'll tell you Nappers, and I'll tell you a bit more later. But we were so close to signing him. The problem is we don't sit in the M25, so we decided to go to Charlton, but. One hell of a player, fantastic. But I really struggle to see a team he doesn't get into. But Lee Burns is the big takeaway because he's their own player. But Raksaki for me makes the team of the season.
Absolutely. They've got so many good players, and I like Charlton. I think Shrewsbury have still got a lot of work to do, haven't they? I still think they just need to close that gap, and they have closed it. They've been a lot better this year in periods. They've won. I think they went 6 games where they won all 6, didn't they? And then they went to draw at Exeter. So still a lot of work to be done. What are your thoughts on Shrewsbury this year?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with them. Considering last year they were really sort of do nothingers, if that makes sense. They weren't doing a lot, but this year they've worked really hard to shut the gap between them and the top 6. I think that is the most difficult job in League One. If you are a Shrewsbury, a Fleetwood, a Lincoln, a Port Vale, an Exeter, to shut the gap, to close the gap, to take yourself closer to the top 6, it's a really difficult challenge. It doesn't happen over one season. So I think Shrewsbury will be happy with the progress that they made this year. They want to copy and maintain the really good recruitment that they made over this summer. Shipley and Bayliss, as we've spoke about and purred over them about maybe 25 times this season. If they can have a similar window, get maybe a closer, they've come probably they're 10 points closer to the top 6 this year than were the last year. If you can get another 10 points closer, or maybe not 10, maybe 8 points closer, that's going to be a really successful season for Shrewsbury. But I was really impressed with Shrewsbury when the beat is at their place. So fingers crossed to give Steve Cottrell a bit of time and he can get it right there. I know he can.
Absolutely. Will we be seeing Jake at Home Park on Monday?
At the minute, no, because I can't get a lift. So if someone wants to pay for me to get a lift down to Plymouth, I am planning on trying to get there, but it's unfortunately very difficult to get to, but I am planning on trying to get there.
There we are. Derby put 6 straight wins together earlier. Wednesday done similar. Yeah, all you need in League One is a good run, and it changes your season. Look at Shrewsbury. They're a top 10 team. Otherwise, they'd be round about the bottom area, really, without those wins.
I'd say you're the same, Ben, as well. I think Fleetwood have gone on a really good run ever since, obviously, you went in.
So ever since Fleetwood signed Jack Marriott, James Stockley could score goals every week. one of them scores. So
you've gone on a really good run ever since you went into hospital, and I think they've still continued it. And you know, you were like not very worried about relegation a couple before you went in.
About midway through February, by the way, Fleetwood were at 1 point at one stage above Morecambe, right? And also with Fleetwood, which I'll come to it later on 19 points better off than they were at this stage last season. So Scott Brown, the recruitment team, Andy Pilley deserves huge round of applause for that. So very well done. And we'll rattle through the next game. Cheltenham Burton 0-0. Both sides got a point. Both sides just kind of keep spreading that gap between themselves and the bottom four. I think both will be fine. Obviously, both managers have come in this season. Obviously, Wade Elliott at the start of the year. Dino after 8 games, after only getting 1 point in his first 7 under Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. But as soon as Dino's came in, they're a top 12 club. I think Cheltenham are only 4 points less off than they were last season, and they had an incredible season last year. Duff was labelled the hero. Wade Elliott gets a lot of pelters. So it's what you want to believe, really.
Yeah, I think a big part of Cheltenham's success has been the continuity, because obviously Wade Elliott was part of the background staff behind Michael Dunn, and also I think Caleb Taylor has been phenomenal for Cheltenham this year on loan from West Brom. I really wouldn't be surprised if that kid is dropped into the West Brom, the first 22, 25 players that they've got. He's been phenomenal. I just spoke to Ed, who's a big Burton fan, and they literally said every time they went forward, Caleb Taylor just got in the way and he was able to repel everything. I mean, I'll be able to give you a bit more of a conclusive report after Friday, but really good, young, talented player that's played his trade in this league.
Absolutely. And there are some absolute gems at this bottom end of League One, which, Caleb Taylor is one. I actually have been watching a lot of League One games, and, in the week where Fleetwood haven't been playing, buying eye-follow passes. And I watched Cheltenham. I was really, really impressed with them. The way they played. Unfortunately, with me, obviously, I've not watched Cheltenham since August. So I wanted to watch them to kind of refresh my memory. And they've got better as the season went on, because I think they lost the first 4 games of the season, which is very difficult. Fleetwood did it last year, and it's so hard to catch back up. So great result for both teams in my eyes. Derby 0, Ipswich 2. Boring game. Both sides not very good.
Don't want to talk about it.
No, honestly, I have no words about Ipswich at this moment in time. Now, 12 months ago, they went on a similar run to this, where they were keeping clean sheets. They were winning games of football. They were solid at the back. And we thought, right, lift off. Then I think they had one bad result, and then they couldn't get into the playoffs. It was pretty much 10 games too late for McKenna. If McKenna had 10 games extra last year, I'm certain they get into the playoffs. It's as simple as that. Now, for me, this was a season where we needed to see more from him, because it's a full season. There's pressure on him. There's no excuses. They've gone out and recruited well. They started off very well. Then they went through that patch where I think they won 1 in 6, 1 in 7, something like that. And they weren't really scoring goals. Obviously, they lost to Wycombe, which hurt, away from home just before Christmas. Remember that. And there was questions being asked about it. Do they have the bottle? Do they have, the character? Then they obviously drew to Plymouth 1-1 at home at Portman Road, where, again, the last minute, they drew to Charlton away in that period. But at the moment, they've just seemed to reevaluated, added a bit of strength in January, and the scoring goals. Sometimes it can be counter-attacking football, but they're playing a slightly different way to what they were 5-6 months ago. And that shows to me McKenna's learned and starting to play a different way to adapt. Now, for me, it will all depend on how good McKenna's game management and how good Ipswich are. Because to go to Derby and win 2-0, to play the way he did, the Chaplin goal was phenomenal. And George Hurst, again, scored 2 in his last 3-4 games, I think it is now. Very good. They're going to have to play a totally different way when they play Wycombe at home on Friday, because Wycombe are going to sit in, defend you, frustrate you. They're the best at it. They're the experts. So they've still got a long way to go. And it's like, checked, done, tick, done. And when you're like that, and when you're like ticking boxes of 1 game closer, there's only one outcome, and that's promotion. And the good thing is with Ipswich, if they don't get the top 2, I don't think they'll be as gutted about it as Wednesday or Plymouth. So I think it'll be phenomenal for them to get in. They just need to avoid Barnsley, which they will do, because one will finish 3rd, one will finish 4th. What do you think about this Ipswich side at the moment in time?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I know I certainly do, and I think you might, as though Ipswich fans a bit of an apology.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
went on the.
Hang on a minute. I put them fourth. They go on a good run. I said whatever I say goes the opposite. So Ipswich fans, forget McKenna, right? Forget Connor Chaplin being like his best scoring ever season, and I think he scored 31 goals. I think the highest he'd ever scored was 25 in 120 games for Portsmouth. Forget all that. It's Knapman masterclass. You've got my video on your changing room every game. So I've won the promotion, lads. Well done.
Well, I also went on the Young Fan Pod and put Ipswich to finish third, which is where I think they were at the time. And they've just gone on this really good run, haven't they? Where they've won, is it 7 straight games, Ben? They've been absolutely phenomenal.
7 straight wins, 8 straight clean sheets.
And to go to Derby obviously is a difficult place to go. You boys went there and picked up a nice result. Not many teams have done that at Pride Park this year. The first goal was phenomenal on the counter attack. I think it's fantastic, and for Ipswich to kill the game off like they did. But yeah, I don't want to say this in a really condescending way, but they threw enough money at it to make it work. I know Ipswich fans will say, we didn't spend much on transfer fees and we've not really got loads of money. But I think there is only so much money you can throw at it and have it not work. And I think Ipswich spent the right amount of money this year. And ultimately they're going to get the reward because, if there's one team in form that you fancy in the playoffs at the moment, it's Ipswich. If Ipswich is going to Ipswich are on a slightly better run. Obviously, Barnsley had that defeat.
You say that, but Barnsley have got one more point than Ipswich have in the last 10 games. Barnsley got 25, Ipswich got 24. So although the lot,
I don't know. It's because of the wins. I don't know what it is. Up forward at the minute. I would back Ipswich to win a one-off game with anybody.
I think Ipswich are a better team, but I think on the day we'll see. I still
now they've got Plan B nappers. Now they've got a Plan B that makes them a lot more effective because sorry to cut over you, Ben, but when we went to Portman Road and yes, we won, etc., whatever. Ipswich and Ipswich fans who were there on the day will agree with me. They just did the same thing over, a bit like Wednesday did on the weekend. Just did the same thing over and over and over again, and it didn't work. But now they can switch it up. Now they've got different options at the top. Now they've got Broaden they can play in. Now they've got Hurst they can play into. They've got Chapman that can run off. They've got Harness that can run off. They've got really good players for the level. I think they've got a Plan B. I think the sky's the limit. I genuinely think they could really sneak into that top 2 now, and that's 3 weeks after I said they weren't going to finish in the top 2. So I don't know. League One's balmy. We've got no idea.
Yeah, I honestly believe, and a lot of people might think I'm crazy for this. I think if they went up this year, I reckon they'd finish mid-table in the Championship next year. Just a bit like what Sunderland have done. Because this team is better than what Sunderland had 12 months ago. If you did a combined 11, Sunderland had a solid League One squad. Very good manager, Alex Neil, who, if you ask me who I'd rather have with 6 games to go, 8 games, I would probably pick Alex Neil just for experience. He knows how to get out of this league. But McKenna is young. He's very, very good. And he'll probably be better than Alex Neil is in 10 years' time than Alex Neil is now.
Yeah.
But I think this team is better than Sunderland's, and Sunderland's have had a really good season where they're even flirting a little bit. I don't think they'll get it. I think they're 7 points off the playoffs. They went to Burnley the other day and drew 0-0. So obviously, I've been watching Fleetwood's tapes of how to go to Burnley and nearly nick something. So
should have watched Lincoln instead, mate, because then I have to come over and win. Anyway, my thing on that Nappers is not Fleetwood. Sunderland invested quite heavily in the summer again. They got some really good loanees in. They got Sims in from Everton. They got Diallo in from United. I just don't know if Ipswich have the same spending capabilities in the Championship as Sunderland do, because Sunderland get bigger gates. Sunderland are a bigger club than Ipswich.
They are a bigger club, but Ipswich still get 28,000. They're still selling out the ground every week.
I just don't know.
As well. I just think that I don't think Ipswich need as much work doing to them as Sunderland did 12 months ago. That's all I'll say. So I think they're in a better place. they'll obviously have to go in and do the work in January, in the summer and January next year. But I think as now, Ipswich are in a better place than Sunderland were 12 months ago.
That's fair. I would agree with that.
So if you think about it, that's kind of where I'm going with it. Also in the comments, let us know who you think will go up. I want to know your top 6, because a lot of people are sleeping on Portsmouth, who I do want to come to in a bit. So keep liking the stream. We're at 16 likes. There's 60 people in the chat. So if you could like, that'd be appreciated. And subscribe if you're new. I think we're 8 subscribers away from 10,500. So if you could subscribe, that'd mean a lot. Up the North Face and up the Cods and all that.
What's that? 6 times your average gate, is it?
Say again?
6 times your average gate, that 10.5k?
5. Ipswich. Keep going. Fleetwood Exeter now. I really enjoyed this game. 2 teams with nothing to play for. Fleetwood will have a say on the bottom area because you've got to play Forest Green Rovers away, Cambridge away on Friday, and also Accrington away. They also play MK Dons away. So that's 4 of the bottom 6 that they still have to play. They also have to play Bolton away, Ipswich at home on the last day of the season. Could they get promoted there on the last day of the season? And before Ipswich fans mess me on Twitter, can you stop messaging me asking me to get your tickets in the home end, please? I've had enough of it. All my Twitter's full of. Good luck in the ballot. And then we also play Bristol Rovers, who, like us, safe as houses, and had a pretty good season. So I enjoyed it. 2-2. Exeter were the best side. I think have come to Highbury for a number of months, in my opinion. They played with an attacking style. Dimitri Mitchell was absolutely phenomenal. Jay Stansfield, unfortunately, off with an injury, not as bad as first field, which is brilliant news. I really like him as a player. He ran the channels. Nombe, very quiet.
You got it right.
I got it right. A number of months, mate. A number of months. The midfield, key in midfield was very good. They looked a little bit shaky at the back, but I thought they travelled in good numbers. Good spirit to the game, and I enjoyed it. Obviously, you've seen Exeter this season as well. 1 defeat in 7 for them. Obviously, Fleetwood, very good, really impressed with them at the moment. But Exeter, 1 defeat in 7, last-minute goal to keep that run going. And they also have some tough fixtures coming up. And they've got Bolton coming up. They play a lot of the top 6. So they're going to pretty much have a say. They beat Barnsley as well the other week as well.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that I've seen both Exeter and Fleetwood in the last maybe 4 weeks. And
how did the Fleetwood one go?
Don't care. Not bothered.
Yeah,
Although I do have to say, when I saw it was 2-1 Exeter, 2-1 Fleetwood with like maybe 5 minutes to go, I was thinking
you were starting to shake, thinking with 6 points. By the way, this sneaky little man, right, thought it was done right before because they were in control. He brought me down a Lincoln City shirt on my birthday and went, "There you are, son. That's for the end of the year." We then beat them, right, and go 4. Then I'm thinking, hang on, with 6 points clear here, an extra score, and it's like balance. So if you don't know, whoever's team finishes lower than the other has to wear the opposition shirt on the final.
Right, though, we've got a game in hand. If we win that, we're only a point. So it'll be close.
Don't worry.
I'm just saying, don't take this the wrong way, but I've seen them both. Maybe it was the occasion, I don't know. But Exeter impressed me a lot more than what Fleetwood did.
Yes.
I know Fleetwood on the day it was a very busy game. It was rather boring. Exeter were phenomenal. Going forward, like you've already mentioned, Dimitri Mitchell, I think top teams in this league should be having a look at him. I think he's phenomenal at left wing back. We had Regan Poole out at right wing back, caused Regan no end of problems, and Regan is a championship defender. So Dimitri Mitchell is a really good pickup for a lot of League One clubs. You've mentioned the reasons why Exeter are so good. They've had a lot of consistency as well. Gary Colbert's come in and done a really good job. But you have to give kudos to Fleetwood because Fleetwood, like we said, since they've brought in Stockton and Marriott, have been very good. They've won a lot of games. They've scored a lot of goals. And they're affecting. They're making sure that they're not in the same position as they were this time last year. And for me as a neutral fan, that's really admirable from a supporter's point of view, and I'm sure you'll feel very grateful for it. But two very good teams, and I think their next job, these two teams' next job, along with my team, Lincoln, is to do what Shrewsbury done this year and cut the gap. Try and recruit a bit, a bit more cleverly, a bit more street smart, and close the gap again, because I think it's doable next year. You look at the teams coming down, I think it's doable.
Yeah, I agree. You look at the teams going down, though, as well as coming up. 4 teams that went down out of League One last year are nowhere to be seen in the promotion race this year. Yeah. So the teams that go down from this league are no one guaranteed to come up. So the teams that are kind of coming up have got something to kind of look at. Exeter, look at what Bolton did last year, look at what Cheltenham did last year. There's so many teams that have come up. Port Vale up until probably the end of January have done well. They've been probably one of the worst sides in the division since then. I worry for them next year if they carry on like this, because you look through the form, they are losing a lot more games that they weren't losing before. Peterborough drew 0-0 with Oxford, which very good point for Oxford. 2 draws from 2 for Lee and Manning. 2 good points in different ways to go away at Morecambe and get a point in a relegation 6-pointer, stopping them getting 3 on you. And obviously you're gaining a point to go away at London Road, who they've been in fine form, scored 10 in the last 3, just beat Derby, Burton in that run as well. So doing really well. Where do you see Peterborough? Do you think they'll sneak into the playoffs? Because they're currently there I think on goal difference at this moment in time. Just slipping Derby out after a run of bad defeats.
Tough, isn't it? I was actually really lucky on my way back home from Fleetwood, Ben. I'm not sure if I told you this.
You did, mate. You did.
I ran into a Mr. Paul Warren, who had obviously was on the way back from the Peterborough Derby game, and he said, whilst he said a host of things about Lincoln, which I won't go into and bore you with, he said Peterborough were very good, to be polite. He said Derby were rubbish on the day, but he said Peterborough were very good. I'd seen that a few weeks ago. They tonked us 3-0 and took our home record away from us. I think they're fantastic going forward. Taylor, Mason Clark, Clark Harris, they're phenomenal going forward, Ben. And I think
Taylor as well.
If they're going to get top 6, they're going to have to maintain the levels. And to be honest, the last 3 weeks, you'd say that they have been. So Peterborough have got a good chance as, you're looking at Derby and Bolton and potentially Portsmouth. They've got a good chance as everyone.
Yeah, agree. I think Oxford, I think they'll be fine. I think they've got enough quality. And I also think, because of last year, I think the quality of the bottom
one thing on Oxford, though, Ben, and I'm sure you looked at the fixtures, their next 5 games are really tough. Like, they've got a lot of the top teams. Although, for us, that would be a piece of cake. But for Oxford, it's difficult.
I think at this stage of the season, I think it's very difficult to say what game is tough, because no games are normal. No games, even playing a mid-table team, you don't know. Yeah. They are ACCA spoilers. You don't know what to expect. Yeah. You really don't. So
they've got this 5 games where they play really tough games, and they've got Forest Green, Accrington, and Burton. Maybe I'm not quite sure on Burton, but they've got 3 teams near the bottom. They could have work to do by 3 games.
You don't want that. There'll be. I think when you look, we will look at the teams, the fixtures at the bottom end later on. But I looked at Cambridge's at the bottom area, who are near Oxford, and they've got Forest Green Rovers. They've got Accrington and they've got Burton, their last 3 games of the season, which are tough. You've got Fleetwood coming up as well. So everyone at the bottom area have tough games to come. It's not just Oxford United. Where do you want to go next?
I don't know, mate. What's next?
I'll tell you what, we'll go to Sheffield Wednesday for you.
No, we'll do that last. We'll do that last because I want to
do that last. We'll go to Port Vale. Port Vale 0, Cambridge 2. We're talking about Cambridge. Cambridge, great result for them. 1 win in 15 prior to that. Obviously, I think Port Vale at the moment are the dream to play against, because they seem to be all over the place. Although they were very good against Fleetwood 3-4 weeks ago, they couldn't get over that line, and they've kind of forgotten how to win football games. And when you kind of get like that, you're in trouble. Darryl Clark, I really like. I think he's been one of the better managers in League One this season and deserves huge respect. They've probably got too many striker options compared to options at the back. I think they're a bit leaky at the back. Going forward, they've got Wilson, Harrison, Butterworth. Obviously, so many options, really, when you think about, when you actually go through the squad. A couple of young players coming through. Obviously, James Wilson was a promotion hero last year there. So Jamie Proctor, another one when you kind of think about it. But it's a superb away performance for Cambridge. You've got Fleetwood on Friday, 5-point gap. But those fixtures to be looking at and thinking we're still in this. And if we go and get 11 points from our last 8 games, there's still a chance. However, every team in that bottom area will be thinking the same.
Yeah, and Cambridge have been awful on the road all season, and they go out and pull a result like this out of the bag against Port Vale. And you know what, but I don't know if I've discussed it with you, but Port Vale, for me, I've certainly spoke about it with Tom and with other lads, could do with Sean Raggett. I think Sean Raggett would be a perfect signing for Port Vale in the summer. Defensively can play 40, 50 games a season, is very vocal, isn't the best at playing out of his feet, but heads and kicks it away, which Port Vale I think will need next year. My worry for Port Vale this year is, Ben, and I've had the privilege of speaking to a Port Vale fan maybe half an hour before I've come on here, is from our understanding they pumped £1 million that was meant to go on the pitch into the playing budget this summer. And that's obviously given them this platform that they've got in League One at the moment. Next summer, that £1 million is not going to be about. They might not have it to put into the playing budget. Port Vale is someone that I really worry for next year. I hate to say this because I know they really hate Crewe, but they could have a bit of a drop off like Crewe did if they don't recruit.
Crewe were really good. They were near the playoffs first season.
Yeah, and Port Vale haven't been. I mean, I know they've not really been in the race ever, but Port Vale haven't been 1,000,000 miles away off the top 6 for quite a lot of the season. So I would, if I'm a Port Vale fan, I'm just literally looking down the road and going, right, how do we not do that? Because that's not, they need to recruit, rather than recruit unknown players like Crewe did and promoting youth. Port Vale will need to sign players that have done it in League One before. Sean Raggett springs to mind, John Marquis perhaps. Keep Ellis Harrison about. That's the way they stay up in League One next year for me.
Yeah, agree. Portsmouth winning again. I think the second best team in Sky Bet League One since Messinio's arrival in January. What a run they're on. They didn't play well the other day, but they got over that line. 1-1-0. Should have been a couple more, really. But who cares? 1-0 win at home, at Fratton, Fortress Fratton. 3 points off the playoffs. It's all to play for. They're still in that fight. And 6-7 games ago, we were saying it's done. They're dreaming. They're looking at the fixtures and thinking win, win, win. They won't do that. I think they've got Shrewsbury away coming up, which is a very, very tough game away at Shrewsbury. It's one of those places like Exeter, Cheltenham. It's just, you don't want to go there. It's horrible. It's awkward. They'll sit in, defend for their lives, but also have quality to score against you and take a result against you. So for me, Portsmouth, I think are more likely to get into the playoffs than Derby or Wycombe, in my opinion, because the form they're on, you'd fancy them, because form is everything in the last 8 games of the season. Derby are going to tail in at this rate because they've also lost 3-2-0. Wycombe haven't shown me anything under Matt Bloomfield. Portsmouth, they're the ones showing me right now, and they're the reason why I think that they could be the one that them or Peterborough that squeeze into the 6th spot.
Yeah, just before we do go into Pompey, Ben, we have to sing happy birthday because it is Pompey's birthday today. They're 125, so happy birthday, Pompey. Hope you enjoy your 125th birthday. Time for you to move out, I think, really, isn't it? It's getting a bit. Me and your mum are getting a bit crowded. There's not enough food in the fridge, but I think Pompey. Ever since Messinio coming, obviously we're very privileged that we speak to Mr. Fornell written all over it, not to name drop it, on a regular basis, and he's absolutely loving it. I think the thing that's different between Messinio and Danny Cowley is that Messinio changes it tactically every game. I think he gets it right a lot more than he gets it wrong. And they've had some good wins over the last couple of months, haven't they? They've come up to Fleetwood and took 3 points. They beat Forest Green. They beat Bolton. They narrowly lost that to Sheffield Wednesday. But I think they've massively improved. This team that went on that 1 win in 14, they look a different animal at the moment. And whilst I can't quite see them, I think I would put Peterborough above them in terms of finishing the playoffs. I think they've given themselves a chance, and as a supporter, that's all you can ask for. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it's football, could happen. But I just think Peterborough are a little bit better.
Yeah, I think both sides will have a say. Forest Green Rovers back to losing ways. it's inevitable. They're going to probably get relegated probably this weekend as well. But thanks for coming, basically. So, we'll go through these comments now before we go back. Graham thinks Plymouth, Wednesday, Barnsley. George thinks Ipswich, Plymouth, Wednesday, Barnsley, Bolton and Peterborough. I think Barnsley will win the playoffs. They're another one that's not quite in the playoffs yet, Bolton. A lot of people have shoehorned them in. Yes, they were outstanding the other day. Kyle Dempsey, Dion Charles were the best two players on the pitch, probably performances of the season. What a time to get it. But they're not in the playoffs just yet. And it'll also be interesting to see how both teams react to that. Because whoever wins that trophy don't normally seem to do too well after it. There's normally a little bit of a period. So Bolton need to kind of get their act together and kind of think, that's gone, back to business on Friday. We'll come to that in about 5-6 minutes when we do Friday's fixtures. Argyle, Ipswich, Wednesday, Barnsley, Peterborough, Portsmouth. There we go. A lot more people saying Portsmouth, Argyle and Barnsley automatics. Bolton in the playoff, hopefully. Be good to keep the money bags clubs in League One for another season or two, says Tony. When you're going to get in League One, it's hard to get out. It's like a bit like sleep paralysis. You don't know it's happening, but it's hard to get out of when it's in. Believe me, that's League One for you, and it's horrible. It's vile, and it gives you nightmares, which exactly sleep paralysis does. I have it every time I'm on stream with Jake. I dread it. Extra picking up some real gems, Mitchell and Amundsen, etc. Experience and quality as well, which I think Amundsen is the experience and quality, and Dimitri Mitchell's experience is I think he's 27, 28 now, but he's got that bit of a excitement every time he goes forward. He can do something special, and that's from a defensive point of view as well. Exeter were very impressive going forward on Saturday. If only they could defend. Exactly what I said the other day as well. Lincoln Red Imps are currently 1-1 in their semi-final of Gibraltar Cup. No idea was their connection to your boys.
Yeah, a little bit. I think the place in Gibraltar is called Lincoln, which is why.
There we go. There we go. Wednesday, Plymouth, Bolton, says Billy as well. We'll go to Wycombe because I know that you want to save it. I know you're absolutely outstanding with your little win away at Hillsborough. Like you've been telling me for weeks that you're going to get. Wycombe 2, MK Dons 2. It was a good result, wasn't it, for MK Dons? They went 1-0 up. They won the previous 3-1-0. Then obviously Wycombe scored 2 goals, and then I think was it Kai with the equaliser. 2-2, good goal as well. Good support from MK Dons, like 800 in that away end. No matter how far, always to take a good number to away games is good support in my eyes. But drop points for Wycombe again. It's the story of the season. They went on a decent run towards Christmas time under Ainsworth, but since Ainsworth's gone, they've not been able to click into gear really and string 3-4 wins together, which you need to if you're going to get into the playoffs. I think
everyone would have backed Wycombe to get into the playoffs had Ainsworth not disappeared.
Yeah, 100%.
And they've not taken the transition to Bloomfield as well. I don't know whether that's because he went out to Colchester, didn't he, and maybe had a bit of an experiment there. I don't know if it really worked. I think maybe he's tried to teach an old dog new tricks. I don't think it's worked out very well. Wycombe, if you watch them, look at the numbers, they're becoming a bit more of a progressive side. They're playing football. They're not playing fantastic football, but they're playing better on the ground football than they were under Ainsworth. I don't think it suits the squad. I think if you were Matt Bloomfield, you wouldn't change anything as to what has made this Wycombe side so successful.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that he's changed it has cost them really a top 6 spot, in my opinion. So I think dropping points at home to MK Dons if you want to be in the playoffs is an absolute no-go. Sorry to MK Dons supporters, but for me, Wycombe, I would class the season as over and look to maybe bring in a different brand of football as to what they've done over the last couple of years. And if Matt is so insistent with this new brand of football, recruit for that style rather than bringing in experienced heads like they have done the last 2 years. I
think that move, although I like Gareth Ainsworth, I was happy that he got mentioned for a championship job. Yeah, I think it's the wrong move. I just think that you've gone to a club that the SAT manager They're all over the place. They're on a really bad running period where they're losing games of football. Probably the worst record. And they won 1 in 12. Got knocked out in the FA Cup third round to League One Fleetwood.
It's a bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, isn't it? Getting them Man United in a really
there you are, FTSE Konami. You've got your new thing if Fleetwood win on Friday. So I just kind of think QPR are a mess, really. And they've kind of what it is for them, how I'd explain it, it's kind of left its wife and its kids of 10 years, stable relationship where you're happy for a cheap one night stand in a nightclub. That's what I think it is. And I know Gareth cares passionately about that football club. Very deeply. Because he's got.
Sorry, Ben, that's completely my fault. I've thrown you off the scent there, haven't I?
Right, shut up. Right. Ooh, he's got connections there. And I just kind of think that they'll eat him alive. And I said this when they'll eat him alive. Look at that video of when that guy comes in. Look, very weird. I don't get it. But I think if he does that at Wycombe, it's a different perspective of what he does at QPR. That's what the Wycombe lads, I think, would love that, would embrace that. And it's like, lads. Very kind of a non-league culture, but in League One. And that non-league culture gets you a long way. Believe me, Fleetwood still have it. And in League One. I think Luton still have a little bit of that. And they could be in the Premier League next year. They've still got that fighting spirit and everyone's in it together. And I think at QPR, it's not the same. And I think kind of maybe been drawn into reality. And I think that they could go down next year, QPR, and we could see them. So it'd be very interesting. But MK Dons, very good result. I think that's 10 points in 12 or 11 points in 18. They're collecting points nicely now under Mark Jackson. And I won't mention him for manager of the season, but he certainly deserves as much credit as Dino does because he's had less games to do it. Probably better players to do it in reality because it's not a bad squad at MK Dons. But the way they were going, it was literally like, they were losing games of football. It was soulless. It was horrible. So, well done to Mark Jackson and the MK Dons. Sheffield Wednesday won. Lincoln City won. Again, Sheffield Wednesday couldn't find a winner. Lincoln did really well to, again, draw the game. I get the two confused. Wednesday, though, not promotion form. Couple of draws, Cheltenham away, Lincoln at home, Bolton at home, losing away at Forest Green and Barnsley. Do you think that the pressure's got to them? Or because I think that David Stockdale saw his interview last week and what he said in the dressing room, which is very true. You need players like that. I want to see a bit more from Barry Bannon in terms of a leadership role. I see a lot on the pitch, but I don't know what he'll be like in the dressing room. He seems to me as a very quiet, very shy, doesn't really speak. That he could be totally different. We don't know. They need players like that. And for me, I don't think Barry Bannon's been their best player this year. George Breyer's by an absolute landscape. And then I think it's Windass up front. I think that those two have been phenomenal. Very interesting to see that they've swapped goalkeepers as well. Gone back to David Stockdale, and I thought Cameron Dawson was having a really good period. But David Stockdale, his experience, he loves the football club. He fell in love with it. It could be his last year, he said, and he wants to finish on a high.
Yeah, Wednesday have been a bit ropey, haven't they? What is it? I feel like it's 3 points out of a possible 18, or it's 2 out of 50. I think that they've really had a bit of a wobble, and like people said before we went to Hillsborough, it was the perfect time to play them. Really, I was really impressed with Wednesday at Sincil Bank in the first 10 minutes, and you know what? I was again at Hillsborough on Saturday. They were very good to start the game. I mean, The goal is comedic from a Lincoln City point of view. If you're a Wednesday fan, it's a great to anticipate by Michael Smith. It's a good header. Should never have happened. But from that moment, you never felt like Wednesday had control of the game. This is me up in the away end. And after Wednesday scored, I actually think it brought the best out of us. And I think we then looked the team more likely to score the goal and go on. Obviously, we did get the goal, which heavily involved with a Sheffield United youth player, which Wednesday fans won't be too impressed with. But Harry Boyes out-muscled, I think it was Dom Iorfa on the halfway line, took a pot shot. Stockdale should have maybe done better. It's difficult. I'm a goalkeeper, so I have a bit of sympathy for him. And Danny Mandroyu took home his second goal against Wednesday this season. And I don't think any Wednesday fan leaving the ground could say that Lincoln didn't deserve a point, because I think we did. We were dangerous on the counter-attack. We had them worried a few times. Yes, Wednesday had the best opportunity to win the game in the last second. Adam Jackson, by the way, coming from absolute nowhere. But we walked away with a point, and I think we deserved it. And I think you'd be difficult. I think it'd be difficult to find a Wednesday fan that would disagree. I think we deserved a point, and you know, I'm being greedy and saying we could have had 3, but they're just on a bit of a wobble at the minute. I don't know what it is. Danny Mandroyu. No, it is just against Sheffield Wednesday, so that's quite unfortunate for you. But yeah, I don't know. I've been really impressed with them in the other 34 games that they've played. That's not been Lincoln, Ben. But I don't know if it's a Lincoln thing. I don't know what it is, because they've still not beat us yet since they've been down in this league. I don't know if it's just playing us, or I don't know what it is, but I've not really been thoroughly impressed by them.
Yeah, I think sometimes with teams that they ride the luck a little bit, go on these runs, and when the run ends, it's very hard to get back. But I need to see more leadership in that team. There's a lot, maybe for the playoffs, that I worry for them, because I kind of think that other teams have got a bit more team spirit. I don't know. I think other teams have got that quality and knockout football. I think if it was, I think 3 games, I think Ipswich, Barnsley, Wycombe, I trust. But for Wednesday, and Plymouth, I think very shaky. I think that we saw with Plymouth the other day, that we will come on to that now. They just look very shaky in the game. They look like like Wembley, this big game playing in front of 73,000. I think it was in the end, in terms of fans, not your corporates and all that. Got to them. And I kind of thought, I know this is a cup final at Wembley, a chance to make silverware. I still think your next 8 games, Morecambe away on Saturday, is as big as this game right now, because the money you will generate from going up is 10, 15, 20 times as big as what you'll get. I think you only get 100 grand winning the Papa John's Trophy, so it's not much. But the supporters want promotion, and the next 8 games, and I kind of thought, what are they going to be like in the next 8 games if they're like this here? Bolton ripped them apart. Bolton were fantastic in every department. The pressing won them a couple of goals. The corners got them a couple of goals. Obviously, a mistake got them. Obviously, got them chances as well. But they were superb, Bolton, in every department. Kyle Dempsey run forwards, moved forwards, played forwards, drove into the box. Dion Charles held the ball up at every possible opportunity and bullied that Plymouth line. They had nothing in the game, and they looked flat. They looked really. And I kind of thought, with 8 games to go, very much a Gary Neville.
Yeah, Dempsey was the difference, really, wasn't he? I thought it was fantastic. You know, to say he came from Gillingham, who were really struggling at the time when they bought him. Just them third man runs that you want your number 10s to make. Every time he was literally running right in between Scar or Houghton. Literally, the runs were timed perfectly, and obviously it caused more. Bolton could have been 5 up at half time. I don't think anyone would have argued that they probably shouldn't have been if they had a bit more clinical finishing. And there was one that that deflected and that nearly went past Callum Burton. But a defeat of that magnitude in a final can really have mental implications on a football team. And I'm saying this selfishly because we play them back end of the weekend. I hope they've still got a bit of a hangover. I like Plymouth. I really hope that they get the miracle job done. They get promoted. I think it'd be a really good fairy tale story because they were only in League Two 4 years ago. I don't know. I'd like to see them get promoted, but again, when your team are playing them the next couple of days and they've had this massive event happen, you go, that could play on my mind a little bit and be a little selfish. So for me, I'm looking forward to the game against Plymouth because it's an opportunity for us to go and test their mental strength. And I mean, I hope they get it sorted after Monday. I hope they get it sorted for after Monday because they've been phenomenal this year. And if you ask a Plymouth fan, would you rather win the JPT and not get promoted, or lose the final 4-0 but go on and get promoted? I think they've picked that every time.
Oh, 100%. I think probably 95, 96% would rather get second, scrape in, and do the other bit. Because some fans are very historical about winning trophies, and I get that. We'll come on to Friday's games very quickly. Accrington Port Vale, bigger game for the home side. I think it's a game they can win, personally. I think if I had to go for it right now, it would be an Accrington win. Very cagey, probably 1-0 or 2-1. I think Port Vale, it's another game that you kind of just think, oh, it's dangerous. It's a banana skin, but could do with a win to lift morale.
Yeah, difficult. I probably hedge my bets towards a draw. I think both teams have been, you've mentioned that Port Vale have been in horrific form since the turn of the year, and Accrington, for me, and I'll say it with my chest out, have been the worst team that I've seen Lincoln play this season. So both teams in an awful run. Just to me, it screams a bit of a 0-0, 1-1 sort of job.
Absolutely. Bristol Rovers, Charlton, as even as you can get them. I think both sides, Bristol are very good. Scoring goals, again, sometimes at home they're really good, sometimes you don't concede 6. So that's the difference with them. Charlton are improving that. Probably fancy a Charlton win on that one, if I'm honest with you. Burton, Barnsley, though, Jay. Fantastic game. Burton, probably maybe a couple more points to absolutely guarantee it. But Barnsley, I think at this moment in time, I'd fancy them to win. I think they're, phenomenal at this moment in time.
Yeah, right the wrongs of their last away trip down to Exeter and go and, continue the momentum. Burton will just be thanking the stars that they were able to whack somebody for 5 or 6 before they ended up playing them. But if I'm honest, the way Ed's been speaking about Burton, they're very one-dimensional in terms of the fact they want to make the game a fight. Barnsley will just outclass them, and if they want to get into a fight, Barnsley can be pretty nasty as well. They proved that against Wednesday. So for me, it's only looking one way, and it's an away win comfortably.
Cambridge Fleetwood, I see a draw in this one. I think Fleetwood, we're over 50 points now. Again, just want the end of the season so we can have a rest, rebuild, go again. But for Cambridge, they need 3 points, absolute minimum. Exeter Bolton, Jay. Bolton, maybe a bit not tired. I wouldn't say tired, but obviously they've had a day less to recover. Obviously got a long journey as well. So Bolton players probably wouldn't have been getting back till late Sunday on the beer, more than likely. Had probably Monday off. Tuesday, probably light work, getting back into the swing of things. Probably went heavy Wednesday, probably like match day -2. And then you've kind of got Thursday where they'll train in the morning, tomorrow morning, and they'll probably travel down in the afternoon. So they've not had a long time to plan. So I think that could be taken into account against a very good Exeter side who scored late on, got a point, in good spirits. Had good news about Jay Stansfield this week as well. At home, very good there. Won the last 2 there. I could see a point there.
I can see 3 for Exeter on Friday. I think for all the circumstances that you've sort of given there about Bolton, but at home Exeter are really impressive. It's a horrible ground to get to, especially coming from the northwest. So, yeah, I think Exeter are gonna turn them over quite convincingly.
Forest Green Rovers beat Wednesday last time out at home. I just think Derby will get back to winning ways. If you ask Derby, bar it being away from home, if it was at Pride Park, this is probably the perfect fixture you could handpick to get back to winning ways. However, probably not the most ideal pick if you lose the game or don't win the game, because then pressure really mounts that you've not beaten Forest Green Rovers, who are bottom of the league, and you're Derby County.
Yeah, and spare a thought for Luke McGee, who is a loanee of Derby County on loan from Forest Green, who won't be able to be involved this weekend. Such a bizarre transfer, wasn't it, to loan a player to Derby from Forest Green? But yeah, Derby for me. Forest Green, lightning don't strike twice, and I think they're going to get hammered.
Yeah, Ipswich Wycombe, I think, is when you're looking at the fixtures, one of the games of the day, or if not the game of the day. Phenomenal game. Wycombe still needs something. They'll go there for a point, in my eyes. If they get a goal, then good luck to Ipswich, because it'll be interesting to see how Ipswich respond if they go 1-0 down, because you've not conceded for 8 games. It is that mentality. Look at Wednesday, they lost for the best part of 4 months, 23 games, and now they can't win a game of football and things seem harder. So if you get the first goal, it's a totally different game. To if you're struggling to make a breakthrough, I see a tight knitted, maybe 2-0 or 1-0 Ipswich win there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to back Wycombe to take a point purely because they're just so determined and dogged. And even though Ipswich have got a couple of plans up the sleeve, just think these boys are so experienced at coming away with big points at big games. So for me, Wycombe walk away with a point.
Lincoln, Cheltenham, they're not in the top 6, so a loss or a draw?
Yeah, it's got 1-1 written all over it, mate.
Yeah.
We're not going to beat them, put it that way.
Yeah. MK Dons Portsmouth, nearly 4,000 Pompey fans making the trip up. I think Portsmouth will win this 1-0. I think it'll be a tight game. Probably a set piece that wins it, something like that to end MK Dons kind of unbeaten. I think MK Dons will be fine. They've got favourable games coming up that I think they'll get enough points from. I don't think they need many now. But I think Portsmouth will just have the quality and keep on going, Jake.
I think Pompey might struggle. They've not won at MK for over 5 years. I think MK are on a really good run themselves. I think they've got a lot of character in them. I think they've got a really good performance in them. And I think they're going to beat one of the fancy teams. So I'm actually going to go against you and say MK Dons 1, Pompey 0.
Very Morecambe Plymouth. Wow, what a game. Derek masterclass against his former club that basically the fans got him out of the football club. I don't think so.
No.
Surprised me if it was a 1-1 draw, but I just think Plymouth will have enough quality in that one. Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday, they're your favourite team. When I've been predicting this for the last couple of weeks, I've had a draw down. I'm starting to change towards a Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 win. The more I kind of keep thinking it. It is a nice game to kind of get your forwards back on scoring form, because I think if Wednesday get the first goal in the game, I do think they'll win it just.
A draw for me. I think that's undermanning. They've shown signs of improvement. So for me, I'd go 1-1 also.
Yeah. Shrewsbury, Peterborough. I fancy a Peterborough win. Jake, what about you?
Yeah, posh win. If they can feed Clark Harris with Mason Clark and the like, and Joe Ward, who was fantastic a few weeks ago, they could potentially score 6 again on Shrewsbury.
Yeah, agree. So we're at the last part of the show. 5 minutes or so of questions about League One, if you've got to ask them. But Jake, where can they go and find your stuff? Obviously, starting off new stuff at the start of next season.
Yeah, I would tell you to go over to the Stacey West channel. However, I'm not actually contributing there anymore for reasons that will not go to public care. There will be new stuff coming in the summer. Keep your eyes posted. I'll reveal it all over on Twitter. My Twitter is at Jake_Tom98. I think, I'm not too sure, but it's along those lines. Come and give me a follow, and you'll get to see all the cool plans. We've got some really cool ideas, including with this man next to me. So fingers crossed. But yeah, come over and check it out. That'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mark Jackson's get manager of the month. Yeah, could see that.
Maybe
turning him around. Obviously, it's
I don't know. Kieran McKenna, mate. Kieran McKenna.
There you are. You can't really back against 6 straight wins, can you? Looking forward to the return of Josephine on Monday. Can't wait. Absolutely buzzing.
Josephine, what are you on about?
Got a nice little welcome at the Memorial Stadium. He got sent off. Fleetwood scored 2 minutes later.
Joey Barton. Got you.
Yeah,
so I was out of the loop.
Wycombe bringing 150 fans to Ipswich is a disgrace.
Can
we get over this support? I'm sick of seeing figures going to away again. It doesn't matter.
As long as you go,
Bolton had 5,500 less fans than Plymouth the other day and won 4-0.
Doesn't matter. It literally doesn't. Fan numbers. We've had this round with Bolton fans before.
I'm not getting into it.
Don't care. Bring it on.
May play the month. Alfie May should be off in the summer. They'll extend it because he's got a year left to be triggered. But that alone, we had that with Wes Burns, and we got peanuts for him from Ipswich. Ipswich going to win the league.
No,
I don't think they will. I think they'll get second now if they had to redo it.
I'd
go. If I had to do it now, I'd go. I have a feeling Plymouth. I don't know. I've backed Plymouth all the way. I'm starting to think after Wembley, will they get through? Because they're not that far ahead. They've got a game in hand. I get that. I think Barnsley will still miss out, but I think it'll go Barnsley, Plymouth, Wednesday, Ipswich Wednesday. I think Wednesday will sort it out. I really do.
Yeah.
I've got to believe that every team has been on a bad run this season. Every team. This is Wednesdays, and this is the end of the 5-game blip. It's all on this week. I'll give you a definite answer after Monday because I will know who will win the league on Monday after the game. So you'll know. You'll pretty much know your top two. Maybe not to win the league, but your top two. But it'll be one of two where you just go with a team. You'll know your top six, and I think I know my bottom four now. But I thought I knew my top two in February because it was just going. I think at one stage it just was something like 11 points behind Plymouth at one stage, something ridiculous like that. And now it's in their hands to get into the top two. There's so much football still to be played. There's 8 games left, and 8 games doesn't seem like a lot. It's still 6 weeks of football. We're in April now. It's still 5 weeks of football to be played. And these midweek games as well. I don't know what it is. Going away midweek is horrible. So with Barnsley at Exeter, I think if that was played on a warm Saturday afternoon, I don't think it would be was it 2-3-1 in the end?
3-1, yeah.
It work out different in different situations. I really do. And League One I love it. I absolutely love it. Guys, if you are new to the channel, please keep the comments coming. Please like the stream as well. We're at 36 likes. If you could like it, get as close to 100 as possible as well. And obviously, people watch this back as well. Subscribe if you're new. We're 7 away from 10,500 as well. Any team you would like to see promoted from League Two? Well, I want Leighton Orient because it's a new ground for me. And one thing I think League One lacks this year, look, I hate going there on holiday, but for the day on the coach is perfect, or the train, is a London away game. You've only got Charlton, really. Peterborough's outside, MK Dons is outside. We had Wimbledon last year, which I've missed. Obviously, I've got family down there. So I miss those London away games. So Orient would be perfect. It's a new ground for me. I don't really want Stevenage, but it would be a new ground for me. I'd like one of Salford or Stockport. Salford because Alex Cairns, I actually went to go and watch Salford at Stockport in the away end to go and watch my mate Cairnsy. I don't know if I've mentioned that. He's like my best mate. He doesn't know about it, but he's my best now. It's a one-way relationship. No, I'm only joking. He's a top man. Stockport would be amazing. I went there the other day and the atmosphere was brilliant.
I think Bradford. I'd like Bradford to come up.
Yeah, Bradford would have the thing is at Bradford, they're a big football club and they are as big as some of these football clubs that are in League One right now that we talk about, the big 6, the big 8. If I had to pick 4 teams, I'd probably go for Leighton Orient, Salford, because it's near and got loads of Fleetwood connections.
Yeah.
Probably Stockport, if I'm honest with you, because it's again, but I think only one of those 2 will go up. And go on, I'll go with you, Bradford City, but I don't think Bradford will do it. Let me know who you
Mansfield
as well.
I'd like Mansfield to come up purely because we haven't really got a local derby.
They've not been brilliant of late, have they? They've been.
Or Northampton. I'd take Northampton.
Northampton will come up. We know that for a fact. I think Northampton getting promotion to this league after the last couple of years they've been through. Was it a playoff defeat a couple of years ago?
They won the playoffs and then
got relegated.
They lost the playoffs because of they lost automatics and they completely capitulated because of the 7-0.
To lose it to Bristol Rovers scoring 7 goals against bottom of the league Scunthorpe.
Disgrace.
It was like the last 10 minutes of the season after being there all season.
I
only won out in the playoff semi-finals. 96 to 98 points. I think all 4 of that top 4 over 90. And I said that 2 weeks ago. I think you'll see 4th getting around about 90 to 91. I think you'll see 3rd getting around 92 to 93. I think 2nd will get 95 and 1st will get between 96 and 97. So I think anywhere between 94 and 97 could squeeze you into that area.
I'll tell you what,
44 points will be enough to stay up.
I'll tell you what, you feel for Notts County, don't you? 97 points after 39 games.
110 points.
And they might still not get promoted. Could you imagine being a Notts County?
Someone that are averaging 1.55 points a game, which, bear in mind, is 69 points in League One, which is somewhere that is like maybe, looking at the table.
Shrewsbury will finish on 69 points.
I think they're a bit off that. They're at 55 at the moment. Maybe somewhere like a Wycombe are right now, and they're not in great form. It's like that, basically. It's ridiculous. The standard of football in these tiers is phenomenal, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. And I hate the Premier League. I really do. I watch it because I like competitive sport, but you don't get this in the Premier League. I know you got the ties at the bottom, but there's 3 points between bottom and bloody 13th. But bar that, the top four, I think, is near enough nailed on with Newcastle and Man United getting in, and then you know that the other clubs are going to battle out. We have Lincoln on Friday, best fan base in League One. I'm not going to do that because there's a video coming very soon on that. MK Dons will beat Portsmouth. Ipswich will come unstuck against Barnsley. That is, I think, is the game of the season left currently at the top, because there's big games at the bottom, which is equally as big for all football clubs. Easily, I'm from Northampton, despite being a Wednesday fan, so it's easy for you as well. You can watch from the hill if you don't get a ticket as well. I've been a few times. I've obviously seen us draw there a couple of times. We won there 1-0, and that's the day Alex Kent, if you remember, if you're a League One fan, made a triple save, and it went absolutely viral. So obviously, when goalkeepers make a triple save now, it's like, well, the GOAT's already done it. Do you know what I mean? So get out.
I've played there, mate. That's what I want to get back. I played there when I was at uni, because we used to play.
Christ, standards have dropped. What about Championship teams? Who do you want to go down?
Oh, maybe Blackpool. Maybe Blackpool. Bring them down.
No.
Come on.
No. If they come down, they come down. Blackpool come down to poor recruitment. The owner, obviously, has put money elsewhere into the football club, which fair play to you. But you're going to be playing in a 20,000-seater stadium with a permanent stand, brilliant training ground in League One. It's as simple as that. He got the wrong managerial choice in Mick McCarthy, who he's made this season since coming in.
Appleton was right.
Yeah, Appleton was horrendous. Not just for the manager, right? Because he's Preston connections. They hated him. Yeah. The next couple of years at Blackpool are huge for them. I do think they'll come down. But although they've got Cardiff and Wigan coming up, Wigan will come down. And I think it will be Reading who join. Huddersfield, they've got Neil Warnock in. And I said that I think he'll come out of retirement this year, and he did. Obviously, Roy Hodgson's done it. I think Big Sam had an eye on that Palace job, he was saying in his podcast. They're all coming out. Neil Warnock will keep them up in League One, in the Championship from League One. I just can't see anything other than at this moment in time. So I think it'll be Blackpool, Wigan, and Reading, which I would take, because Wigan, I've been there loads, but it's a local game, and they're a quite big club. They'll sell out our away end, and it'll be good. I always like to talk about Wigan, so fair play. Blackpool's a derby. I don't care what they say. Although I probably have to go into the game with me a balaclava on and me hood up. And Reading's a new ground for me, although I would prefer Cardiff, if I'm honest with you.
If they are the teams that come down, though, Ben, there is an opening for the teams that are looking to make that step up from mid-table to the playoff. There is an opening there.
Yeah, I think Blackpool will be looking towards the playoffs. I think they'll be in and out of the playoffs. They need a huge makeover done. I think they'll be in the top 10. I think they'll flirt with the top 6. If they get in, they get in. It's all on the recruitment and the managers. I know they spoke to Liam Richardson last week. So I think if they get him, I think that's a good appointment for League One, as he's proved. But he needs the tools. He's proven that. I think Reading will struggle. They're in an embargo. They need to change manager. Paul Ince did a good job to keep him up last year. Started off well, faded out, just like he did at Notts County, just like he did at Blackpool, just like he did at Blackburn. Same everywhere he goes. They've got some good players. They will go. And yeah, I think Wigan will challenge it again. I think they'll throw money at it again, keep the better players. Although they pay players on month as well. So,
Wigan need to learn though, Ben, don't they?
Yes.
They
got
need to
£8 million
learn.
this year. 8 million. Ipswich, by the way, it's huge for them. They got because they lost 11.6. Some clubs obviously made a bit of money.
School, mate.
Say again.
They need to go back to school and do financing, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see they don't do it in Fleetwood in previous years. So all the comments, we will end the stream here. So thank you very much for watching. It's been a 75-minute bumper episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. Looking at the Easter period, we will have a lot more content on League One over this Easter period as well. We've got Monday's games to have a look at as well. Obviously, I'll be going to Cambridge on Friday, and I'm sure you'll be going to the Bank on Friday. Jake, any final words, mate?
No, it's just good to be on, Ben. It's nice to finally be back on. Obviously, like I said, a bit of a break to move into this place, but just it's nice to be talking League. I mean, absolutely shattered now because you'll know more than anyone that doing these sort of shows completely drain you. So we are literally going to, as soon as this finishes, I'm running through that door and onto my bed and falling asleep because I have work in the morning. But no, just really grateful, Ben, that you stuck with me and kept me back on. It's been great.
No problem, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, it is massively appreciated. And thank you to Jake for coming on as well. Again, we will be back over the weekend with another League One Live. Thank you for all your comments, all your support as well. If you could like the stream as you're leaving as well, subscribe as well, hit notifications so you don't miss another vlog or another live stream as well. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I will see you later. Up the League One, up the Cod, and have a very good Easter weekend. And hopefully your team can pick up 3 points, unless you're a Cambridge or Bristol Rovers fan.
Up the Imps.
Up the Cods.
Up the Imps.
Shut up, you girl. Up the Cods.
Love you, Jill.